Hi, I'm Amy Schiebel. I'm a science professor at Edgewood College. Today, it's a glorious day outside, and what we want to do is get out there and do something with the day. But we want to do something that is a little bit science-y, so we're going to think about ecology. And what we're going to do is make a terrarium. So a terrarium is just a little tiny ecosystem, a little garden in some kind of container. So I have this container that I'm going to use. I think this was once a candle. I keep odd jars for some reason. So I want to pick my container first so I know about how many different kinds of plants and rocks I need to get. And then I've got a bucket with a few little containers inside, and we're going to go outside and start collecting some great things for our terrarium. One of the things that we need for our terrarium is some gravel. I don't have a bag of gravel anywhere, but I do have this gravel pad. And so, since it doesn't really matter, I'm just going to pick up enough gravel to make, I don't know, about a ½ inch in the bottom of my pot. Another thing we're going to need is some sand. So I don't have a bag of sand either, but I'm going to raid the old sandbox of the children. So I'll just scoop up some sand there. Well, maybe I won't take that scoop, it's got goober in it. There, I got a scoop of sand. I'll put it in my bucket along with my, we also need a little soil. I could take it out of one of these garden beds, or I can just scoop it out of the planter here. Now comes the fun part. I get to start picking out what kind of plants I want. I've got some lovely things that are starting to sprout back here. Here we have some crocuses. They're all too big for my terrarium though, so what I want to find is some little tiny plants. Here's some little plants, but what I'm seeing I really want is this moss. I think that'll make a really nice little blanket in my terrarium. So I'm just going to take some of that, put it here in my bucket, and then start looking for some more cute little tiny plants that I might want to dig up and put in my terrarium. So now I'm in the house and I have all my materials ready to go. Those very observant of you out there might realize that this is not exactly what I had in the beginning of this video. A little bit of operator error. So this is the terrarium that I made with the things that I collected before. I'm using another one of these little pots as a cover for my terrarium. It works just great. So this is a little bit addicting, so I'm going to make another one. While cleaning out my garage, I noticed I had a bag of aquarium gravel. So instead of the gravel from off the driveway, I'm going to put some of this in. Kind of pretty. Then one thing you need here is a piece of plastic, because the next thing that goes in is sand, and you don't want the sand to filter down into the plastic. So you can just put a few holes, because we want the water to drain. Those in there. And I'll put this down in my, want to cover that up. The next thing you pour in is your sand. I have a tall jar here, so this time I'm going to use a little bit more sand, hide that plastic. Okay. Tamp that down with my handy dandy chopstick here. All right, once I've got that down and flat, I can put in my soil. There, now I can put in some plants. I collected a little bit more of this moss, and there were some nice little plants in with that moss. I'm just going to trim some of these dry ends off. Down in there. A fan of the moss. Have a few other little plants that are coming up in there. Since this time I have a rather tall jar, I thought I would play with some additions. These are things that dead seed and flower heads. We've been cleaning out our gardens recently. I'm going to put one of those in there. Maybe it'll look like a miniature tree. Oops. broke a bit, doesn't matter. And then there were some of these pretty seed pods, seed heads, I think left over from the lilies. Gonna put those in there, like some more little oddball trees. Make that one shorter. All right, you do need to water these a little bit, not very much. Just sprinkle a little water on there a few times a day. This one has a lid, so I'm going to set the lid on. And I think I've got a kind of pretty little terrarium there. You can use any size jar that you want. You can make little tiny mini ones. You could put little figures from toys and things in there, set up little fairy gardens. But it's a nice way to think about what is required for these plants to live. So they need something to live on. They need air, so you can't seal this up in there. They need carbon dioxide, mostly. They give off oxygen. And they need water. If you put some little bugs or things in there, then you can start thinking about what it is that those little bugs might need or snail might need to live. So have fun with your terrariums. When you're done with them, you can just dump them right back out in the woods, everything except that piece of plastic. Make sure you collect that back up. Enjoy them. The inspiration for this video came from these neat terrariums that my friends made in small aquariums. Thanks!